What's going on, everyone? It's your boy, Ernest of New York Mets Stuff Report. I'm here to give another of the latest updates from Mets camp, the Top Guns pitching development camp. I'm going to mention a few pitchers who are doing kind of really well in the looks good department, but there's also some specific details about some of their pitches and velocity that I'll get into in this video. I also want to talk about more updates from a previous camp earlier in the winter that talks about and highlights a few of the top prospects or the top draft picks from the last draft class, including a young kid who has yet to make his pro debut. I'm already hearing some things that he's been doing behind the scenes to gear up to make that pro debut officially this season. Let me get things going with the birthday boy, January 17th. This would be the birthday for the one and only Zach Thornton. Again, I've been talking about it now since the end of the last season, talking about it earlier in the offseason. We get the A-OK 100% Zach Thornton is healthy. Not only is he healthy, but along with the other pitchers in this camp and program, they've all begun throwing pen sessions along with the strength training and everything else going on. The positive things about Zach Thornton, I'm hearing that some of his stuff, quote unquote, is already back to where it was before he got injured, including already in January, Zach Thornton is already getting to where he wants to be with his pitches and with his velocity. I know that's a big thing between a lot of fans out there and fellow minor league junkies. Fastball velocity. Can Zach Thornton throw hard enough to still project as a starting pitcher? Well, as far as things go behind the scenes, behind closed doors, not in the games themselves, he's already hitting some of those marks that you would want to see from a pitcher that would qualify the lefty to be a legit bona fide ongoing starting pitcher projection. He's already hitting the numbers as we speak. If he can continue this form of velocity, basically touching 92 to 94, maybe he can start topping 95, we're getting into a legit option to be a starting pitcher for the Mets in the very, very near future. Couple of other arms I want to highlight. Some that sound obvious, but Jonathan Santucci also having a very super early positive start to the progress for the new year, looking really well in camp. I know everyone's still waiting for that third pitch, right? Been kind of talking about it ad nauseum, but if he can get that changeup to go with the slider and the fastball, we're going to have David Peterson's replacement. I've been saying it. There's your guy for 2027 to be the lefty in the rotation. The other guy I want to bring up, a reliever, Brett Banks, who I've been talking about it since winter, since Arizona Fall League, when he was showing off a new slider. He is still improving the slider that looks fantastic so far. Again, behind the scenes, behind the closed doors, his hard slider now looks absolutely fantastic. I know some of the other pitchers in the Mets organization from last year were starting to transition between a sweeper, hard slider type of combo or one or the other, trying to be interchangeable with, depending on the pitcher. Guys like McClain obviously still want to do that beautiful sweep, but there's other guys now like Brett Banks also going for more of the hard slider, along with other things he's working on, fastball, splitter, all looking really good really early. As far as the other camp that was going on prior to this, before the dead period when no players were doing anything, there was another camp. I got some extra detailed insight information through this morning about how that camp went for mostly for some of the draft picks in 2025, with a couple of other guys who did really well. Some of the other guys continuing to be highlighted even from that camp are the two top draft picks, Antonio Jimenez and Mitch Voit. The key with both of them appears to be pure, true athleticism. That's what the Mets organization is working on first and foremost, utilizing their true athletic ability. I'm very curious to see even Jimenez, but I love the speed of Mitch Voit. And again, in this camp, this form of progress, player development reasonings, they both looked good in this camp. I also wanted to bring up a kid that I have not talked about because he hasn't even made his pro debut, but I got the tip One kid I need to keep an eye on definitely in 2026 in the very low minors would be a Anthony Frobose. This was a high school draft picked in the 9th round of the last draft. What I'm hearing is they were doing some things with him behind the scenes ever since he got drafted. I don't know if that means the hitting lab and all that, but I'm hearing positive things very specifically to his player development, the plate, the approach, the swing. They've been changing some things with Anthony Frobose since he became a pro. So now I'm excited to see what that means, not only for overall development as a pro ball player. Now I want to see how it's going to translate. Again, this is a very young 18-year-old player, so I'm curious to see. Have to assume he's going to break camp in the complex league to start way down there. I'm excited now to start rooting for him. And now when I start promoting him and posting about him, you're going to know you've already heard about him now from me in January. Some of the other players you should maybe know more about that also looked very well in this camp and that are still tweaking and working on certain things. I heard positive things about A.J. Ewing, who, of course, we already know at this point is a top 5-ish, top 6 to 7 prospect in the Mets organization. I'm hearing he made very small tweaks because obviously when you did what he did in 2025, you probably shouldn't change much, but you know how things go player development wise. Even the top players in every farm system, they need to keep improving no matter what, by the week, by the month, by the year. And I'm hearing positive things about what he was working on at this camp that he wants to roll over into 2026. Speaking with one of the staff, they believe he's pretty much all systems to go to continue his takeoff. Now, if that's up to me in my interpretation, all I think it really truly means is we're looking at a future top 3 Mets prospect. We're probably looking at a top 100 MLB prospect by the end of 2026. My version of a biased Mets fan hot take, A.J. Ewing top 100 by this time next season when those 100 lists roll out around this time. Another player I wanted to mention, because like Zach Thornton, also Boston Barrow had some injuries and ended his last season injured. I'm hearing he's completely positive, very healthy, like a Thornton. And also Boston Barrow continues to change and tweak some of the things. And I know even towards the end of last season, he was working on some stuff to generate a little bit more power, even go kind of to that shortstop level, right? Destroying the ball, not always pulling, but even actually almost aiming towards the left side of the field to generate a different type of power. I know that's what they were working on last year, and I know also plate approach. They're doing some other stuff with Boston Barrow this offseason. So I want to see how that shows in the games next season. He had a struggling 2025. It's why I'm calling him a version of a comeback player of the year of sorts. I think Boston Barrow can fit that bill in 2026, so stay tuned. Continue to watch his season as it starts to progress now that he's back healthy. Thank you guys so much for checking in on this video. I hope to have more and more videos from the pitching camp into spring training. I'll have as much info as I can even going into the workouts. I hope to be there for some of the workouts, show some highlights, show some live videos. I'll catch you on those, catch you in the backfields. I'll see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like, comment. I'm on there to respond to your comments. Thank you.